gosh.
Welcome to Literarily Wasted.
Just got my kid just came and delivered this. Sorry.
That's very sweet. Little disclaimer: 3/4 of us are sick.
Christy's not.
I'm not.
I'm actually feeling pretty good right now, so I'm way better than I was. So
I sound worse than I feel. I feel pretty bad.
Yeah.
sweet.
So here we
Let's do this.
We're just gonna let Adam talk the whole time.
We're gonna today is the second live discussion of November, and stop. We're gonna be talking about this is the second live discussion for.
Why are you even doing it?
Yeah,
Just stop talking and let us do it.
This is the second live discussion for The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin.
But before we get started, let's say hello to everybody. And I apologize if I sneeze in the middle.
You sound good.
I'm fine. It's just I'm going to sneeze or gag from the sinus drainage. It's fine. Hi, Tammy and Kristen and Giggles. And
Kristen.
Oh.
Yeah, no, but who's your dad?
Bob?
Is Bob? Where's Bob? Okay. Hi, Bob, wherever you are too, and Kristen and Giggles again. Hi, Anthony, Brandy, and Mary, and Bobby, Jody, and Martin, and Tim. Hi, Cindy, and Jeff, and Katie, and Carrie, and Adrian, and Judy. Oops. Hi, Kelly, and Rachel, and Stacy, and Jennifer, and Kent, Tammy, Martin, Tammy, Bobby, Adrian, Willa, Jeff. Oh, where'd it go? Willa, Jeff, Stacy, Kristen, Martin, Anthony, and Jennifer again. Okay, Adrian, he didn't jinx himself. He's now coming off of the slip. So, like, our kids were sick last week, and then Lucas got it, and now I'm the last one.
I think it's a short runner, though, because, like, I was feeling kind of low on Sunday, but I'm...
it's going around. Everybody's
I'm way better today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the second live discussion for The City We Became. We're going to talk about the whole book.
The book as a whole.
The book as a whole. This is a trilogy.
It's a duology.
It's a duology,
it was supposed to be a trilogy, and
no spoilers past the first book if you've read on. For those who are interested in continuing this series.
Well, and the second book just came out, so I know a couple of you have either started reading it or read it already.
It just came out.
Like recently.
Did we talk about that last time?
Yeah,
it came out in 2020. Okay, and I'm going to, if it's okay with everyone, I'm going to address the quick. The elephant isn't quick. I'm going to quickly address the elephant in the room, which is this. Let's all be real honest for a minute. This was written by a Black author. She's awesome, but look at us. We are, as Adam's math pointed out, 3 out of 4 white people because Adam is half white and I'm half white, and that's just the math. Anyways, but we're white appearing, even though Adam and I are both biracial, and we are all cisgender straight people. Okay? This book has a lot of really, really complex storylines and characters and themes that have to do with things that honestly probably shouldn't be addressed by people like us. So, or people that look like us that have lived lives looking like us. So, we are going to be addressing this book from a purely just book club standard of how it made us feel. And I want all of us to choose our words very, very carefully and with thought tonight. And that includes like all of it. I'm looking at the 4 of us on the screen and know that it's okay to misstep as long as you then look at where you misstepped and then take a step back and fix that moving forward. So I hope we can all speak very open-mindedly tonight, but also cautious and recognizing where we're coming from, which for me is obviously from a place of privilege.
Yeah. So I think this book is an opportunity to examine things from a different perspective. But getting into it, that said, we can still talk about the book, of course. What did we think of this book?
Ooh, the tea spilled. That was not a metaphor. It literally have tea. That was not me being like, ooh, let's spill the tea.
Our cat has a cold too. Like he's literally been sneezing.
So if you hear sneezing in the background, that is
poor big guy.
Our cat who's leaving little booger prints everywhere.
Bless you, buddy. I love you.
Okay.
I don't
ahead.
mind starting. I am so disappointed. I'm disappointed in this book just as a book because I was so, like the premise is so good and it has so many amazing things and there's so many things that I love about this book. It's unique and the perspective is fantastic and it's in New York and the storyline is great and I think that it just didn't live up to what I wanted it to be and that makes me really sad because I feel like it could have been much more than it is. And this is coming from someone who's only read the first book and I don't know if I'm going to read the second book, but
Oh, Bobby, I like your comment. Sorry, Christy, continue.
yeah, I really wanted to love this book and I didn't. And that makes me sad. But I mean, it did make me feel a lot of things. And like I said, there's a bunch of stuff that I did love, but overall,
Hi, Julie. We also don't feel good.
I'm sorry. I will say that made me think of something because I know, there was a lot of talk about art in this book. And I think that this is kind of a great example because what?
Nothing.
A great example because what does everyone tell you about art? It's not that you have to like art. It's not that you have to understand art. Art is supposed to make you feel something.
yeah.
And this book did make me feel things. And there are times, especially where as a reader, I think we should have felt uncomfortable reading certain parts of this book. And I did.
Oh, yeah.
And like, to me, that means it was doing its job. And I guess since I'm already talking, I'll just keep going with the book and how I felt. It never really clicked for me like I wanted it to. But I do think it honestly is because it's so different from what I'm used to reading. So I actually really want to read this again at a different point. Right now, I have a lot of, honestly, I feel like I'm juggling a lot. I have a lot of like stress in my life, and it's also the holidays. And so I don't feel like I was mentally and emotionally in the right place to tackle a book like this, which is for a fantasy, way more real than I expected. Now knowing what I know about it, I would love to read it again in another time where I feel like I really want to dig in to it. So I'm not giving up on it. I feel like this time it just didn't click for me and I wasn't able to really mentally get to where I wanted to be. But there are so many things that I did like about it. It is, like we said, it is truly unique. And it actually makes me want to read more from her because I feel like every single thing that she writes is so different.
It is, yeah.
And that's got to be hard.
Yeah, she's a really unique author with really unique like storylines and everything. And Jennifer said she wanted to love this book, but it didn't speak to her, and she may try some of the author's other books. And I fully encourage that. This is the 7th N.K. Jemisin book I've read, and I read her other 2 trilogies, the one that we started in book club, and then the Broken Earth trilogy. I think the Broken Earth one is the one that won all the awards, and they're so different from this. They're way more fantasy. Broken Earth, I think, is like kind of dystopian-ish, but they're really good. And again, they're different too. So I know that they don't speak to everybody, but I really did enjoy both of those.
I guess. Do you have more?
Oh no, I was just gonna see because Missy just said that in the Inheritance trilogy. I'm like, even though that book was really weird, I actually did really like it.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the whole like Sky Daddy part of it, like
Sky Daddy was awesome.
Sky Daddy was awesome. We still need those t-shirts.
Okay.
So I'll go save Adam's voice for a minute. I was very uncomfortable reading this. I was really uncomfortable, and so it's kind of like this is the second N.K. Jemisin book that we've read, and I'll give her one more try. I just it may not click with me. Like
she said if.
The city. What did you
I have
say?
I have the 5th season, the Broken Earth trilogy, and
yeah.
you like dystopian. So.
I do like dystopian. It's just I think she's a great author, and I'm glad that she's writing what she's writing.
I think stuff like I will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I feel like stuff like this needs to be.
It needs
written.
it needs to be done. I like to read for escapism, and I don't like to, I don't like to get out of my comfort zone, and that's just me. But I'll give her one more try, kind of thing. But I just don't know if it, like a couple of you, it doesn't hit me, right? Like it's not a series that I just want to continue or gobble up more. And that could be because it is just, it's a little bit uncomfortable for me, being me. But I appreciate that she does push the envelope and does try to step into some really, really off the wall ideas. But at the end of the day, I think we all kind of saw the Staten Island thing coming. I did like how Jersey City stepped up, and having watched the Kamala Khan
Yeah.
Ms. Marvel stuff, like, and that takes place in Jersey City. Like, that was cool. Like, and I kind of I liked that. So that was cool. But I don't know. This one just it hit a lot of buttons for me that I was like, wow, I'm just really uncomfortable right now. But it's
Katie
okay.
does make a great point, and this
What's
is
this?
true. So we've done Katie specifically has done a lot of diversity work. And one of the things that you're taught is to lean into the discomfort.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, I don't think you have to pretend like you're not uncomfortable, but you also shouldn't bury it. But then you have to address, like, why are you uncomfortable?
Yeah. I mean, look, I am
I'm not asking you
Yeah, yeah,
specifically
yeah.
why
No.
are you. No, I'm just
I'm
saying,
just-
like, that's a question we all have to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
Also, when it comes to just an author's work, let's be real. If the first thing I had ever read from J.K. Rowling, like,
no doubt.
politics aside, if the first thing I had ever tried to read from her was Casual Vacancy, I would have never read the Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
Never.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, look, because I know so many people like her works. I'm happy to try one more, but at that point, it hits the point of, like, this isn't about any author. This could be a book. I like your shirt, Adam. Video game, whatever. It's like once I hit a certain point, there's so much more media that I need to consume before I die, that, like, throwing myself into authors whose works that historically I haven't connected with seems kind of fruitless for me when I still haven't read the Wool trilogy yet. So it's I will not continue, but I think, again, I'm glad that this type of representation is out there, for sure, and that these type characters are the heroes. That's important to have that diversity. So yeah, I applaud it for a lot of that stuff and the creativity, but it just never gelled for me, and it was a little bit. I kind of saw a lot of it coming from a million miles away, just from a story aspect.
Yeah, so
Adam, what do you have to say?
yeah, so for me, I had no problem with the discomfort, like reading, these characters going through these things and dealing with these issues was, I think, I appreciated it, and I appreciated her just fantastical ideas. Like, I think we talked about this last time, like the concept of the city coming to life, the city being born, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. All of that I really appreciated. And I think this could have been a good story, but I don't think that it was. And I think that has to do with and maybe it was the way I read it, I don't know, but, like, just from a story structure standpoint, it never did anything it never, like, it didn't go anywhere until, like, it did finally in the very end. Like, it was very, like, slow moving, or, like, slow to get off the ground. It was very repetitive in terms of, like, the chapter structure. And then there's just a lot of things that I wish I had more clarity on. that I think would have helped tell the story better. There's some things that were a little mismatched or like inconsistent with like the rules of the world that we're in. I just don't think like made much sense.
I don't want to. Let me jump in really quick on that, Adam. I don't want to cut you off, but it felt like playground makeup rules sometimes, where
Yes.
it's like, well, I'm gonna do this because I have this power, and it's like, no, and like it's just that like justification in the moment that
And like
doesn't feel right.
there's a place for like, and like that's exactly right. That's like what I thought too. Is like people just like, these are kids like making up their own rules as they go, which there's a place for that, but not on a fundamental level. Like for me, like there were certain fundamental aspects of the story that I wish I had a bit more clarity on. Like what changes when a city is born? What changes about the city? What is the significance of the birth of a city compared to it, its state before? Like now we have avatars who embody the city and can manipulate it and whatever, but like what is the significance there? And like what, and then we have this whole issue of like when a city is born, it punches through a bunch of other universes and destroys a bunch of people. Well, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
And then like it kind of like the woman in white was an awful person, but like coming from this place of like, yeah, I got to stop cities from being born because it kills trillions of people. I'm just gonna make like white supremacists do the work for me. That it's just things that didn't like connect from a like just a storytelling standpoint. Like there's just a lot of things that I would have liked to have a stronger grasp on, so that I could have been there with the characters. I could have been like on the journey with them and felt like the significance and the importance of these events. It's hard enough to like get me to accept that this city is alive in certain ways. And I think that's like creative and brilliant and genius. I just think the ball got fumbled a little bit.
I was also so we talked during the first discussion just about the structure. And I do feel like it kind of ended up being what we expected of like, we meet the avatar of New York City, and then we meet every single borough in succession. They each have their little mini battles. They're getting introduced, and it all culminates in this final battle that happens really quickly. And then, it's the avatar. And like, we don't get him again until like the very end. And that disappointed me a little. Just because some of the ideas in this are so unique and new that I was hoping that it would, have a plot that was really unique and new coinciding with that. And that part, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like it was so much more focused on like character work than being plot driven.
It's
Okay.
character
Not like
work, but it
balance.
was more just like talking. I didn't even feel like there was character development or growth at all. And that's
and as
something
some people pointed out, it was more like caricature work.
yeah.
Which I would be careful, like to some degree. And I wondered though, it is because it did feel a little heavy-handed at times. And I wonder if, we know that she's such a great author. I wonder if there was intention behind that. I don't know what it was. I wish we need to find some Q&As from her about this book, because I would honestly love to hear more from her when she knows what she wrote, and I would love to hear her talk about this book.
Yeah, I think, like sort of shrouding some of this social commentary in this fantastical story is a good idea. It's a good vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, there were certain places where I felt the connection between the two, and there were certain places where I didn't. It just didn't seem like it was. They were they were truly sort of married to each other in sort of a causal relationship, or like.
Well, one thing I saw over and over again was that this book just lacked subtlety. Like it
punches you in the nose a lot.
It does, but also like kind of to what Adam was just saying, the it makes sense to use this as a vehicle to tell the story, the social commentary, and mixed with the science fiction or fantasy, and like that's super effective. But I think she tried to cram so much into it that nothing really got like really developed. It was just like you just kept getting hit with like different little pieces without like really like exploring one thing deeply, which I think could have been more effective.
And there's a lot of like really great, like talking about like, being on the nose and being not super or just like over the top or blatant or not subtle with it. Like there were certain times where like there were shades of gray, and I felt like those were like just sort of hinted at and then like dropped. Like Staten Island character, there were shades of gray there in the Staten Island character. She was both awful and sympathetic at the same time, and I thought that was like a really interesting development for her, like getting the family relationship and the family dynamic and sort of seeing where she came from and what makes her who she is, and then having her wrestle with that and deal with this like awful rapist guy, and having this conversation with her mom on the roof, like that. There was so much. There was a lot of little like pieces of this is a human being here who is who has awful thoughts, but like, and then at the end,
she was disowned, and that I think that's my biggest problem with the book is just that like there was so much potential for Iceland to grow and to evolve and to become a part of this amazing group of avatars and this amazing city, and instead they were just like, nah, you're out, and let's replace you with Jersey City. And I have no problem with Jersey City being a part of New York. I thought that was kind of great, especially when they explained it. I didn't like the point that they made her part of the city and the fact that she was just able to replace Staten Island when they weren't able to complete their goal without her.
It was, yeah, well, because you want that redemption. You want to know that that it's possible for her to change and for her to grow. And I think I would have liked it better as if, yes, she had that, but then also we still had Jersey City come in, and it's like, ooh, that gives you even another problem to solve and be like, oh no, we need even more help. Ooh, a bonus avatar.
Yeah.
Yay. Like, I think I would have enjoyed that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jersey City thing, it didn't feel, I mean, like the character was around the whole time. And the character was an important part, and we got little hints that she could see. Yeah,
Tim, this is spot on.
that she could see all the things, and like and then just having her be like, "It's me, I'm Jersey City" at the end, and like we can still get it done. And also, like, what exactly? I mean, there was the physical danger, right? I guess of like. The woman in white was going to destroy the city, and we have these previous examples of like Pompeii, where like the city got fully destroyed,
And Atlantis,
which
were great examples, but
then New Orleans didn't make any sense to me. As somebody who lived there post Katrina,
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah, that's right. You did. You were in the heart of that, right?
One could argue that the city came more alive after that as a result of the disaster. Like, I don't understand like what in that case the death of the city means, or like the city was stillborn, I guess, or something like this. The whole concept of cities being born doesn't make any sense to me in terms of like what does it change? What does it change about the nature of it? And then if the city dies, like New Orleans, for example, or London, which is still a city.
Yeah, it oddly made me feel a little defensive for some reason, because I was like, New Orleans is, but it got it got better.
yeah.
Like,
well, and like I have a much bigger connection to New Orleans than I do to New York because we're just closer and I've been there more often, and so it was really interesting also to like see that.
There's a lot of, I mean, there were a lot of social political discrepancies as a result of Katrina, as far as like who could bounce back and who couldn't, and who had to get out. And like there,
Yeah.
that was, you know, that was definitely a thing post Katrina. And you know, there was some stuff that was taken advantage of, sort of like the whole gentrification thing, as a result of, you know, certain areas getting wiped out. But you know, like it just, I didn't see any sort of justification for like, even like what was New York before it was born and what is New York after it's born. Like, I just don't understand what that means. What does that mean? And like that doesn't help me like get invested in the story and invested in these characters. And like I was there for the ride. I was there for like, hey, this city came to life and it has to defend itself from this like multi-dimensional threat. This city
Gobbler.
that is a
Quencher.
city unto herself. She's like, you know, like Rydlith or something like that. She's a city from some other place that's trying to destroy these cities.
Does this book make you want to go to New York?
Honestly, okay.
Yeah.
The first half did not. But now after everything, kinda. I don't know why, but it kind of did. So when I first started this book, I was like, I'm not going to enjoy this book because I don't love New York City. And then after now, I'm kind of like, maybe I should give it another chance.
I like New York. Every time I go there, I'm like kind of smitten with it. Yeah, I put that one in there.
I think it depends on when you go.
Yeah, I'm okay not to go.
Well,
I don't want to live there.
I think the first half of the book made me wanted to visit New York, and the second half of the book I was like, well, you know, maybe New Orleans again, actually.
Yeah, like I don't know, and I think part of that was like I didn't in the end I didn't really like any of the characters to the point of like, oh, I don't know. It's just me. I don't think it does. It's not a tourism.
The fact that they
I don't
always
think-
cool.
I don't think New York needs help getting tourists.
I know they don't. I'm
I
just
think
saying.
Sorry.
you know
for some-
there was also some frustration that I had going through this book. You know, it's like the first season of Heroes, where like you just want them to come together and be the X-Men, like just come be the X-Men, and like it just seemed like they were fighting themselves at every turn. There's just like the progression of like, you know, them coming together and doing this thing. Like it took so long that she ran out of book.
Well,
I
and
guess
them
that's
coming
why there's
together-
another one.
yeah, them coming together,
They just fought all the time.
it was so repetitive. But changing the subject a little bit, Anthony Justice posted in the lounge some fan art of a graphic novel cover for the book.
Mm,
And
that was cool.
it's so cool. Y'all should go look at it if you haven't seen it already. And like, since I saw that, I cannot help thinking that like this would have been a great graphic novel.
Oh.
And it would have been so much more effective as a graphic novel. So
Yeah.
now I really, really want that. I would give this another try in graphic novel form.
Oh yeah, I'd read it.
I agree.
Oh,
I agree with
absolutely.
that. I think
Oh, now that and honestly, if you just mentally swap it, you're like, oh, this is the novelization of a graphic novel, then I'd be
Mhm.
kind of like,
It kind of makes more sense as
Yeah.
a graphic novel,
It
at
kinda-
least to me.
It kind of moves like one.
Yeah,
too.
it does.
and
Oh,
there's a lot of great
dang.
visualizations. Like that, I mean, that I'll give her that. Like there's a lot of
it would look so good.
interesting characters and visualizations, and you have the woman in white consistently changing. You could do some really cool stuff with that, of like, you know, outfits and looks and the art gallery and just
Mhm.
a lot of big set pieces that would be neat. Like, yeah.
Well, and like art is such an important part of this book that just being able to tell the story with art, I think, would be really powerful. And another thing about telling the story, the narrator of the audiobook and like the production of it and everything was so good.
That's what everybody was saying.
I was so impressed. Like I listened to the legalese at the end of the book after it had finished. Like I waited until the very end and she made it entertaining. If you stop before, she like says all that stuff, but she says it in such a way that's a little bit evil. It's just so good. Yeah, see, Missy, even the credits are fun, and they are. I was super impressed, and like the sound effects they used and the music they used and the narrator was fantastic, and I'm just blown away because I listen to audiobooks constantly, seriously constantly, and like this one was awesome.
Well, the voice in my head as I read it, a physical book, was top notch.
It's always Captain Kirk, isn't it?
It's Picard.
Yeah, Missy. So she did the credits in the voice of the woman in white with a wicked chuckle. It's just, it was done so evilly. It was perfect.
What was the ding ho? What was that?
I think
Was it just a creature? Some weird
I
creature?
missed out on what that was.
It
wasn't
made me want
Made me
Some
want
hostess?
ho-hos.
But I
Yeah,
think-
like
Or
it's like a ding dong
It's a
ho-ho.
ding dong ho ho.
I think she like was confusing those
She
words
was.
and then came across ding ho and then it stuck.
Well, she saw something in the mirror that looked like a ho ho or a ding dong, and like was combining the words, and then it came back.
Martin, no, that's something different.
Ding dong.
So Jeff asked, do more
That's my
people listen to
stage name.
book club
Nope.
books rather than read the text? Sometimes I feel like I'm in the minority here. And
think
Adam
most-
always reads the ebook.
Or the regular book.
He read the regular book of this one. Talia always reads the regular book. I maybe 90% read the audiobook and then sometimes do ebook and sometimes do regular book.
I'm probably 95 audio.
I've tried to do audio and I just keep getting distracted and end up wasting more time. So I always read the physical book.
I find it
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but I kind of like collecting and keeping the books.
it's like video
Mhm.
games.
So
Um,
it would look like a hockey, but what was it?
It was a
creature?
creature,
Was it
but it
like
was
a
a
minion?
totally alien creature that we can't comprehend.
It was like a minion or something.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the audiobooks, I'm finding it harder for me to do it because I'm not driving anymore because I work
Yeah.
remotely, and so if I'm on a road trip, it's a lot easier. But I find when I'm not in that zone,
Martin,
it's a
you
lot
Googled it.
harder.
Why did you Google that?
I hope Safe Search was on. Oh.
Yeah, no. Lucas only processed audiobooks when he was driving, which didn't the Halloween book. Like I actually
yeah.
read a lot of the book.
Yeah,
I read a lot of that book out loud to Lucas so that he could have an audiobook moment.
That was good.
Oh no, Katie. She's ran red lights before while listening to audiobooks. Yeah, maybe you should steer clear of audiobooks in the car.
You don't listen to the race books.
Let's see. One of the things that made me chuckle was when they found out the parent company for the Better New York Foundation.
Oh yeah, the LLC name.
Total Multiverse War LLC.
Yeah, that's not a red flag.
I laughed out loud at that one. That just got me. I wasn't expecting it to be so bad.
Pointed.
Yeah. But I kind of loved it.
Yeah. No, that was. I mean, I hope she meant it to be funny.
Yeah, I hope
I
so
will
too. It was hard to tell.
It was hard to tell, and then I was kind of like, I don't know.
Total multiverse war. Yeah, the whole Better New York Foundation was interesting, and I think the commentary on gentrification, I guess, like we kind of touched on this last time about like, you know, when the Foot Locker moves in, the TGI Fridays moves in. That's not necessarily gentrification. I guess it is, but like that theme continues through the book, obviously, with like a side of white supremacy. It's
A big helping of it.
it was trying to sort of piece that all together. The woman in white, her motivations, and like the vehicles that she uses to achieve her goals. Like she wants to kill the city. Okay, I got it. Like I get you want to kill the city. Utilizing this sort of like fascist people and organizations to achieve it is another means, is another step beyond like I want to destroy the city. I'm gonna also use this awful things to do it. I wish I understood her more. As and then layer on top of that you punch a hole through a bunch of universes.
And I want to point something out. We only know that because the evilest evil person told them that. And that's the only way we heard that information. So there is a chance
that it's not real.
That it's not real. It seemed real to me, and I took it as real. But she's the only one. She's our only source.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. She is very unreliable.
She has goals.
Her motivation could just be purely like, I want to see the world burn.
Maybe.
She is this extra dimensional.
I mean, but we did see an alien city, like a city not of their universe. We saw it was kind of hovering right over New York. So there is something there.
She was Dollar General.
Oh my gosh. And she did pop up everywhere. I was amazed at how fast the enemy of this book moved and took over just ridiculous amounts of space. And like really personally attacked the avatars, and not the ones that we saw, but like the fact that like moved into the art museum and like that is now hers, and took the brownstone, or not, it wasn't the brownstone, but it was.
She was able to find them very
Brooklyn's.
easily.
Yeah.
Except for the main avatar.
Well, and someone asked that. How did she know? It's right up there. How did she know who the avatars were so she could plan for the LLC to be in place to mess with them? Because they said that the LLC had been working for like 30 or 40 years or something.
I kind of took the assumption that the LLC was buying up so much stuff all over the place that it was just a numbers game almost. And that one, like once she knew that was, I don't know, that was kind of my assumption, is that they, like, this shadow organization had been working for 30 years basically to financially disrupt this city being born.
Yeah. And Ashley, she said, we also didn't get resolution on a handful of things, like Brooklyn's house. There were so many things. Manny still doesn't have his memory. And now Staten Island is dark.
It's got the shadow.
Or something. I mean, that's something new for the next book. But like, it'd be really interesting to read the second book just to get some resolution of some of this stuff, because it is such a fascinating premise. But
they beat her back, but she still exists thanks to Island's protection.
Yeah. Well, and Jeff, in the discussion topics post, said that in the author's acknowledgement to the sequel, she states that when it came time to write the sequel, the New York that she wrote about in the first book no longer exists. COVID changed things, and that she had a hard time feeling motivated to continue the story. Some plot threads she was going to use had to be excised because real world events mirrored them too closely, and her fictional villain was too close to what became reality. So he's the one who said, this explains why the original trilogy plan has become a duology. And I think that's fascinating. Like, it'd be interesting to read the second book knowing where it's coming from, the fact that she had to change it drastically because of just COVID and the world events that we've had since then, and kind of wonder, what did that second book look like before it got changed?
Well, I wonder, did anyone else have COVID running through their mind while they read this? Because I did. Because like the rate of those tentacles, like the things spreading throughout New York, and what happened to New York, and this book came out in 2020, like the effect that, like how something could spread so quickly. And I know it's about something so much more like deep rooted than that. But like there were some parallels that kind of stuck out, and I was like, oh,
I didn't really think about it.
Change. It's an infection, and it changes the city. I don't know. My brain's full of snot.
That is
No,
true.
that's so
That's
interesting
not
that you
nice.
thought of COVID during all of that because I didn't think of that at all, but now I can kind of see where you're coming from. And what would this have been like if you had read it right when it came out, like in 2020, in the middle of COVID and everything else? Like,
I think my brain would have broke.
yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that would have been tough, especially if you were in the city reading that when like everything looked pretty dire, you know.
Adrian, actual snot. Actual snot. There's like a baseball radiating inside my head, like right here, of just a pain and snot.
Got it. I got that too. I'm sharing it.
Yay.
Kira asked, which city would you like to see an avatar of in future books?
Which city?
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, Las Vegas would be awesome.
I feel like that could be fun.
I want something really mundane and like I
Amsterdam.
want like a little city like
Like
Podunk.
Montgomery.
Even more podunk, like Gwyn or Gwyn, Alabama.
Jordan.
The twins,
Yuck.
Gwyn and Gwyn.
No.
Snellville, Georgia. Be like, I'm Snell.
Anthony
Is that
said
a mosquito?
probably London or Paris. I don't think we'll see London because that one hasn't been born yet, right?
London was stillborn, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
They
so.
kept saying, "Oh, this is like what happened in London."
Well, also, you mentioned that the rules were like y'all said, the playground rules where you can just kind of change it as you go. Hong Kong said, like, in the past when there have been more than one, like when there have been smaller like groups of avatars to like make the whole, like they had to be consumed and they disappeared. And like I thought it was really interesting that they did change the rules there because they didn't have to talk about that. It just kind of added this foreboding. It's like, oh gosh, are they gonna just not gonna be here at the end of the book? But it didn't seem necessary at all.
Singapore. Sorry. That's the city that
Dubai.
I'd want to.
You would want to.
Yeah, I'd want to read about Singapore because God, the history, and now it's so fancy. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, all the fancy cities like Dubai, Monte Carlo.
Or Australia. Someone mentioned Melbourne. Yeah, Australia. Something
that would be really fun.
Where through the history, like to see the total change. Like, woof.
But you have to wonder, like, what would the avatar be? Because
that's
yeah,
I don't know.
Like, is the avatar representative of what the city has become, or is it representative of what built the city in the first place? Because like
I don't know
cities that have
the
undergone.
author. I need someone else who's much smarter than me to write it, and then I'll just read it and enjoy it.
We can speculate, like Birmingham, for example. Like Birmingham is like,
woof.
Yeah, like we've got this
town.
Like, we've got this like sort of Renaissance gentrification aspect of Birmingham, but that's not all of Birmingham. Like what is the spirit of Birmingham? I don't think it would be like a YP bro as the avatar of Birmingham. Like that's not like
YP bro.
Do people know that is young professional?
Young professional bro.
I'd move.
Yeah, like I think Birmingham would have to be more representative of of its history. Its struggles.
I do love the whole concept of a person or a group of people representing a city. I think that's really fascinating. And someone mentioned that this reminded them a lot of American Gods, and in that way, I agree.
Never read it.
I like
it's really good.
The group of people. It's hard to imagine, like that there's any place that can be fully encapsulated by one character.
Yeah.
Well, Sao Paulo and Hong Kong.
Yeah, but even New York is one person. They just happen to get split up into a group.
They have the boroughs.
I wonder if there's I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, again, hats off to N.K. Jemisin for even trying to imagine a world in which a city is born through avatars who can exist in both spaces, in this space that we exist in now, and also in some like alternate cityscape where they are the vast expanse of a city full of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. Is there something
Can I-
on your scalp?
My head hurts. So
Mine
I'm gonna
does
get-
too.
I'm gonna get real philosophical for a second.
Can you rub your head like this so it looks like you're like
No, because it only
divining
hurts
something?
on
Can you
this
do
side.
this?
No, y'all shush. Okay. So I want to go back and look at me saying that I was disappointed that what's her name? Aisling? No.
Iselin.
Thank you.
Staten Island.
Didn't get any sort of redemption. And then I want to look at that and say, is the reason I feel that way because I identify more with her as a character than with someone else. And so I want that redemption for her when it shouldn't be about that. Like, and this is not me like starting an argument or like even having really a discussion. Like, I'm just thinking, like, I think I need to look at it from another point of view. Like, because someone else brought up like a great point about how then there was another great discussion, I think, between Brooklyn and I don't remember anyone's names, I'm sorry, about how she had those rap lyrics that were homophobic.
Mm.
And instead of focusing on like, okay, let's like, oh, the white character is not going to get an easy redemption plot. Let's focus on all the work that still has to be done within our own communities. And I wonder if it's deeper than that. And I'm just kind of talking and I'm not like expecting any answers. But
I do think that there's something to be said for not everybody gets a redemption arc in real life. And so it makes sense that in this book that not everybody's going to get one. And I think that's fair. I wanted it badly for her, but I can also see that like that's not how real life works a lot of the time.
Well, I think the reason you want it for her is because you see the other side.
Yeah, well, there's so much potential there. Like you could see that it's within reach, maybe, and so I guess it's really disappointing when she doesn't even try.
maybe she will in the second book.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's
I mean,
the island.
Staten Island's like grayed out, right?
I mean, I wouldn't
Like,
mind if she actually accidentally uses her big tentacle that one time just to accidentally squish her dad and that other dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carl.
And then be like,
Yeah.
oops, and then she's redeemed. And it's like,
I think
okay,
that
well,
was
that's fine.
mosquito. 'Cause I have mosquito.
Yeah, like I like Katie said, I felt bad for her because of her circumstances and that she was raised by
Yeah.
an asshole, and that her mom gave up her career of being a pianist,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Like that was interesting. What was I going to say?
I can't read minds.
How many different medicines are you on right now?
0. That's the problem. What was it? I did last time we talked. Again, like not being of New York and not knowing a lot about New York, I was hoping that through the course of the book, I would have a better understanding of New York and of the different boroughs. But I don't think we ever got that. I think that the book still just kind of assumed that we have certain knowledge about what makes Brooklyn, Brooklyn, for example, or what makes the Bronx, the Bronx. And like, I don't know. I still don't know.
I don't think it's necessary to know or love New York to enjoy this book, but I think if you do, you probably get a lot more out of it.
It would have helped
Yeah.
a lot. Like
Yeah.
there were a few little like nuances and little tidbits in there, but it wasn't enough for me to connect it and be like, wow, you know what? I really want to go to Brooklyn now. No, don't.
It's like watching a Marvel movie out of sequence. You might be like, oh, cool, this was entertainment. But then if you had watched the 70 movies before that one movie, you would have been like, oh, there was 3,000 inside jokes and Easter eggs in this, and I got them all.
I do feel like there was a lot of that for people who know and love New York.
Yeah. And then in New York, it just like now they're coexisting with his avatar, and they're all like friends. They're hanging out in Coney Island.
Yeah,
I'm
and
glad
it's like,
they
hey, you
found
can
each
have
other.
my sublet, but I don't know.
Yeah, but he needed it.
I know, but I wanted like a deeper resolution for that guy,
Well,
Which guy?
the Avatar.
Main guy?
Yeah,
Well, he's no longer in a coma,
yeah.
and he has a support system. So, I mean, I think that
I hope they continue to take care of him. Do you want a Kleenex, Adam?
I think they have to. I think that's their whole purpose. But also, like, I do think the second book is like a continuation of the first book. I think it's in New York. So, do you?
Okay.
Oh, he actually does really want a tissue.
I think it would be honestly like I would hope so because I do feel like
That's not our only box in here. He has been just blowing
Okay.
through them.
Literally.
Literally.
but I do
Here we go.
I literally forgot what I was saying in the middle of the sentence.
Make something up. You got a cover for Adam blowing his nose.
Blow your nose,
Blow your nose.
blow, Gabriel, blow. That's what we sing. That's good. I like the sound effects.
Yeah. It's better now.
I'm back, and I don't make those sounds when I blow my nose. I don't understand how people do.
He was actually really quiet.
Yeah, there's a silencer.
He wasn't
do.
in the middle
You-
of the night, but
You can hear him outside of the house.
Skill.
How? How do you make this?
It's horrifying.
Beautiful.
It's like a cartoon tugboat.
So Ashley makes a good point. The main New York City avatar had her deepest interest, and we got the least of him. And yeah, we were bookended with New York avatar, and like, I wanted so much more of everybody, honestly, but definitely of him.
Yeah. And I liked most everybody too. Like, you know, are you, is your nose bleeding?
No, I just saw Bobby's comment. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. You're safe. Immunity.
For
Got
once.
Got the golden brick.
They've actually been okay tonight.
Knock on wood.
We didn't jinx
But
it.
yeah, I liked all the characters for the most part. You know, obviously didn't like the shitty ones. But like the boroughs, other than Staten Island, who had the most kind of conflict. I like Brooklyn. Manny to me was I don't know. Manny didn't do anything for me.
I liked Manny. I love that he has this weird, mysterious, like kind of violent
He
past.
has, but yeah, but we never
I was
found out any
intrigued
more.
by
than that.
Manny.
I was intrigued by it, but he just on the surface was just he was kind of like and I say this ironically as a fan of like Leonardo and Cyclops. He was kind of like the Leonardo and Cyclops of the group.
He was kind of dull, but he obviously had a really interesting backstory. And I wanted more of that. I wanted more of all of their backstories. Although some of them, I guess it's Bronco that was the most, like Ashley said, Bronco was the one that felt the most developed.
And like at the end, was he romantically attracted to New York? Were there some
Yeah.
there were some
Well, I think it was one way.
just for Manny's part?
Yeah. That's the impression I got.
Because New York and Sao Paulo did some favors in the beginning of the book.
Well, and New York was staying with Sao Paulo there at the end. So I kind of got the impression that kind of blossomed into something a little more. But again, it was just an impression.
Okay. Because he wanted to be really protective of New York, and he was the only one that like raced to New York while everybody else was like, "We're gonna go find Staten Island," and then Staten Island like whisked him away to Wall Street after she said, "Get off my lawn."
She did.
Very literal, "Get off my lawn."
Jeff pointed out Queens got hardly any time at all.
It's
I
true.
really liked Queens. I liked just what we did see of her, and I loved her math powers. I thought that was
really
so fun.
hoping we would see more of the
Yeah,
powers.
Yeah,
me
we-
too.
we-
Oh, just everybody's powers.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up in my head, because like I was disappointed that like they didn't use their powers to fight the bad guy. Like
Manny did,
Manny did. He turned into King Kong, which is weird.
which was weird.
It's weird.
But
I mean, it's New York.
yeah, it's true. He was like, I should have watched different New York movies.
Better.
I mean,
New
right?
York
Everything
movies.
about him is
I would have turned into a giant Sbarro pizza.
Ghostbusters is a quintessential New York movie.
That would have been his power.
But the math powers she used to and was able to like transport. She was able to like clip through the walls and stuff, and she saved the kid in the pool.
That was so
and
cool.
she did nothing after that except like calculate some odds or something. It's like calculate the odds of them like being successful.
Also, she was the one that was like, "Oh, I guess it's fine that trillions of other people will have to die. That's just natural. Let's move on." Which I had a real problem with. They were all like, "Oh no, this is terrible, but oh well."
Yeah, like it did, and Bronca was able to like manipulate like everything. She manipulated the water. She made the water flick off Jersey City.
Well, it was a pipe, I think. But yeah,
It was what?
a pipe.
It was a pipe. I thought it was water.
Pretty sure it was a pipe.
I thought it was the river.
You guys can chime in, but I'm pretty sure it was a pipe.
Never mind then.
But you're right. She did have some controlling powers. Did she use those at all after that? Like, was it just to show off to Vanessa?
Not really. And like Manny's the one that got them out of the center, right? And when they were trying to escape, didn't he conjure up a subway car or something and like
Oh
they
yeah,
like got into the subway car and like
he had some interesting powers, and it's evolved really oddly because it started with the money and the credit card, and then it evolved into just imagining stuff into being, which I don't see as connected, but I thought it was interesting.
That'd be a really
Yeah.
convenient superpower, though.
Gets-
Let me just imagine something really quick and then it happens.
Gets back to the
Yeah.
playground rules. It's like, well, no, I'm King Kong.
Yeah. I think I love that you said that, the playground rules thing, because I really think that applies very
Yeah,
well.
It just took me out of it in a lot of spots where it was just like, oh, well, that's convenient. Let's button that up and move on. The end.
speaking of the end, it's 8:30. We made it.
What?
We've hit the hour mark.
All three of you need to go to sleep. Maybe you can stay up, Lucas, but Talia and Adam, sleep.
Yes.
I can't. I have to clean my kitchen.
But a couple of things to announce. Number one, I have set up the Secret Santa. I will be like posting a link in the group and on YouTube in the community tab, on Facebook,
In all the places.
in all the places. You will see a link to the Secret Santa. We're gonna do things a little bit differently if you want to like play along. Otherwise, you can just do what you want. Joe, I don't know if he's on this discussion tonight.
Didn't see him.
Suggested that we do it in the Icelandic tradition of the Jólabókaflóð. I don't know how to pronounce it,
I thought that was a good try.
but
Although I think
Sounds
you
right.
just like made up some noises.
but it's like the Icelandic book flood is basically what it means. Right?
Someone type it in and we'll try to say it.
Phonetically.
Yeah.
please.
Jólabókaflóð.
Just put the letters in and we'll try to say it.
That sounds like
Basically
Boba
you're going to gift a book, and hopefully
And
it gets
chocolate.
a book and chocolate. So the tradition is that in Iceland everybody gives books, and then
And
on
chocolate.
Christmas, no, bear with me. Traditionally, because I did a little research, it's like you give books, and then on Christmas Eve, you read the book that you're given while drinking hot chocolate. So it's like, so it sounds cozy. It sounds nice. Now you can books and chocolate is also a thing.
the thing on the internet keeps saying it's just books and chocolate.
Yeah, it's books and chocolate.
So I think that's what the Secret Santa
I'm not a
twist we're doing.
chocolate.
is. That yeah, I know. That's a
chocolate.
great combination.
So books and chocolate is kind of the theme this year. Books and chocolate, books and hot chocolate. Yeah, it can be hot cocoa, it can be spiked apple cider, it can be whatever you want. You don't even have
Don't mail milk.
Oh, Cindy did it.
Jólabókaflóð.
to.
Is it a J or did they it?
Anyway.
He's probably going to be closest.
I want to
In
say it's a
pronunciation.
Y sound.
Yola Boca
Yola
Flor.
Boca
It's
Flor.
still Secret Santa, so you can gift whatever you want. If you would like to participate in this, maybe you can let it be known in your profile that you want to do it.
If you really don't want chocolate, you should probably say that in your profile because you're
Yeah.
probably going to get books and chocolate.
It'll be on Elfster. You'll see the link if you've done it before. It's very similar to what we did before.
It's the same as
It's exactly
it's
the same.
It's the same.
So books and hot chocolate. I'll have a deadline for when you can sign up so we can go ahead and exchange the gifts. I'm thinking maybe a week from today will be the deadline. So you have a week to sign up, and then you'll get matched with somebody else who's part of it, and then you'll hopefully get their address and you can send them something. And then on Christmas Eve, whoever wants to, open your book, post it in the lounge or in the forum or wherever, and
Yeah, because I would think I don't know what the USPS. Don't send it media mail first because it'll take too long. But I think there's cutoffs on the website usually of like if you send by this day, it should arrive. But keep that in mind. Like probably by the 15th, you want to send that stuff out.
Just ship it direct from Amazon or something.
And if it doesn't make it there for Christmas Eve, have
fine.
like a redo. What's it? What's the word?
A redo.
It's not redo.
Rematch.
Yola Boca Flood.
Yola Boca Flawed.
Yola, is it flawed? It must be flawed. Yola Boca
Yola
Flawed.
Boca Flawed.
Cindy commented how it's pronounced.
So anyway, Secret Santa, be aware of the link that's going to go up. Next topic of discussion is the discussions for December.
Yes.
Oh, it's right. It's right.
It's in our bedroom, or else I'd show it. But I'm not prepared.
So we will be reading The Sandman by Neil Gaiman. It's his first
Nocturnes and Preludes, Preludes and Nocturnes.
Preludes and Nocturnes. Preludes.
Pralines.
Preludes.
There's a D in there.
Preludes.
No N.
Probably what?
Preludes and
What are you
Nocturnes.
talking about?
He's making fun of Adam.
We will be reading that for December.
Apparently, we're in for some more avatars.
We're gonna love it. We're gonna love it.
We are gonna love it.
So we have one book discussion for this because it's a little graphic novel.
No spoilers.
Okay.
And then that discussion will be on December
14th.
14th. And then the second live discussion will
Just
be
2
on
weeks
December...
from today, the 21st, is our holiday hangout.
Yeah, so
Yay.
no book discussion. Just come hang out with us. We'll have some fun stuff planned. We'll just catch up.
And we'll have some stuff to tell you
We'll have some
about-
stuff to tell you.
about things.
About stuff.
Yes, things and
Yeah.
stuff. So join us for the holiday party. You don't have to read anything to be a part of it, to be a part of the discussion, or be a part of it. So it's always a good time. It's always fun. It's always just a way for us to hang out with our lit fam as we get festive.
There's also a really good chance Adam won't sound like this.
Oh, it could be worse.
Might be.
Could be worse.
Oh, wait. And you won't be here. For
I won't. I will be. I might try to hop into chat kind of thing for the Sandman. We'll see. I've got a work
Yeah.
trip.
So anyway, December's coming up. We got good stuff planned, and Secret Santa will be going live soon. If you participated in it last time, you will be getting an invite because it gives me the option to do so.
That's convenient.
That will happen after this live discussion is over. So there it is. There you have it. The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Next month, The Sandman by Neil Gaiman. And then it's 2023, baby.
Oh God.
Lots of fun stuff going on.
Anything can
2023.
happen.
Anything can happen.
Could happen.
Literally Wasted is going to go nuts.
It's
Adam
Y'all are
already
like-
went. Adam
y'all
already
are
went
making
nuts.
this stuff and things like.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
not.
know what you're talking about.
Is this? I'll tell you what. In 2023, we will read a book at least. I'm gonna bring your standards way down now.
Yeah,
She set the bar super low. We may read 2 books.
Whoa.
but not
just
per
doubled it.
month.
Not per
No.
No.
Unless we do
Can't
another
do that.
shorty month.
Mm,
2023 will be 100% Star Trek books.
I'm
Nope.
gonna make you guys read. What's that book that didn't win? The only book that didn't win in July.
Old Man's War.
Genesis. You all need to read it. There's
We're
so
just
many
gonna
books.
We're gonna reread Old Man's War, and then each
Maybe-
subsequent month will be each book, all the other
Ugh.
books in the series.
Just-
Maybe 2023. I'm just going to hijack the whole year, and every book that I really wanted to read that you guys didn't vote on, we're just going to read those.
There you go.
I mean,
So
So
honestly,
look
we're not
forward to
gonna do that.
fine
2023.
with that.
The dictatorship.
December coming up soon. We're gonna go.
Welcome to Christie's Literally Wasted. I honestly, she tells me what to read now. So
Oh,
I'm
look.
fine with that.
Look at this. Look at this, guys.
Oh,
Thank you, Carrie.
doing
It
it.
was
She's
so
going.
good.
all
Don't
right.
look into it. Just read it.
I want to go see.
No, I mean, it's better if you go blind.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
better if you go blind.
I
Starting
go
the
into
book.
a blind. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Mhm. I do have it. I got it.
Okay, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. We will see you soon.
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Adam, you're in charge of making the Facebook events now. Bye. We'll see y'all in December.
Lucas, let's harmonize.
Oh, so beautiful.